Hey, it's Austin James. If you're like me, trying to live your best life while living with diabetes, you can relate to worrying if you're doing a good job managing your diabetes. I use the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor to get real-time glucose readings and see the impact of every meal and activity to make better decisions. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor can help me live life with diabetes on my own terms, and it gives me more time for the things I love, like being a dad and a musician. Now this is progress. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Bro, I mean, it was miraculous. I mean, JT literally sprained his nuts. Oh, excuse me, sorry, guys. Sprained his nuts to play before it comes back, makes the game winner. Unbelievable. Sprained his nuts. Sprained his nuts.
All right, welcome back to the One Star Cowboys podcast. I'm Kevin Turner. We have John Machota, Saad Youssef. Kent is out tonight. He'll be back tomorrow. We're going to have another episode tomorrow, our official Lions preview episode. But we cut Jon and Saad a break on Sunday night because of the lightning delay. So, John, you go first, then Saad. Kind of your generalizing, overarching thoughts of Sunday night as we record here on Tuesday night.
For the record, I want it to be known that I did say to Saad, it also was for your guys' benefit too. I didn't want you guys to have to stay up all night while because here's the thing, especially after a win like that, you just know the locker room is going to be open longer. Like everything, you're just going to be down there probably longer than you will after a loss. Come to find out though, that's only because we cover the Cowboys. Because Saad and I were standing there outside of the Cowboys locker room well before it came close to opening for anyone to go in. And a gentleman walked by us and I go, Saad, you know who that is? That's Najee Harris. Apparently, Najee Harris and George Pickens don't ever talk after games. They just put on their clothes and leave. So that was an interesting moment there. So that was we factored all of that in. We just thought it would be better that it didn't make sense to keep you guys up all night because we didn't know when we would be getting back to the press box. So
Which
anyway,
was 2 a.m. local time.
Yeah.
We got back up at 2 a.m., yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
To me, that was the Cowboys' most impressive win so far this season. I thought it would be Cleveland, but we've got to see Cleveland now for a few weeks, and it is not Cleveland anymore. And the Giants are the Giants of what they've been, really, since Tom Coughlin, and maybe even a little bit towards the end of Tom Coughlin. They're just not a very good football team. So this was clearly the best win. I thought that CD and Dak were going to have to play lights out for them to have a chance to do what they did, and they didn't. And the Steelers looked like they weren't very good. And so it remains to be seen. It could be just an NFL thing because if you scoreboard watch, man, on Sundays, there's a lot of wild stuff that goes on. It's certainly a league of parody. So I thought there were some plays there where I thought Dak was not very good, but he also had some throws where I was like, that's maybe as good as I've ever seen Dak. The sideline ball to CeeDee Lamb, outstanding. The throw down, the deep ball down the middle of the field, Kevontae Turpin, incredible, especially when you factor in Kevontae Turpin's size, just great ball. And then obviously the game winner to Tolbert. I mean, that was executed perfectly and everything's on the line. Incomplete pass, game's over, you lose. Complete pass, you win. And so not obviously close to being a perfect game, but hey, I picked against them. So I thought they wouldn't win that game. And as the game went on and the way Dak played in the first half, it fed into that even more. I thought that the way he played in the, having the turnovers, I thought that was going to be one of the things at the end of the game we were talking about. Like, yeah, if he doesn't have those, they win the game. But they were able to overcome it. And it probably helps that, you know what, instead of just always focusing on your own team, you focus on the team you're also watching out there. And there's definitely some issues over there, whether we talk about Pickens and some other things going on in Pittsburgh. But nobody's listening to us for that. So take it away, Saad.
Yeah, I had a very Jekyll and Hyde kind of observations from that game in terms of like if you want to be a pessimist, it fed into a lot of that. If you want to be an optimist, I think it feeds into a lot of that. For me, down the middle, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything John said. I think with Dak's performance in particular, the mistakes that he made were a lot. I mean, they're just so correctable. They're just like they're not mistakes that you feel are just going to, carry with Dak throughout. It reminds me a lot about all the people that were making a big deal about that 2022 season and Dak leading the league in interceptions, and everyone was losing their mind. And it's like, hey, like that's an exception. Like Dak is not always going to do that. Dak's not always going to take that sack that resulted in a strip fumble. That's just not going to always happen. Dak's not always going to throw that interception that he did when he was in the end zone. And then, as McCarthy said, that second interception, I mean, that's kind of one that's a little bit more on Tolbert than it was on Dak. So I thought it was a great game all around. I think the defense goes really kind of like under the radar on this because of the heroics at the end were offensive heroics. But let's not lose sight of the fact that they held George Pickens to what they did. I think it was like 20, 30 yards or something receiving. And Najee Harris and Justin Fields combined for 69 yards rushing on the ground for a rush defense that was not very good in Pittsburgh. So this isn't like, they've done this 2 weeks in a row. It's not even close to the test that they're going to face in Detroit when, it's going to be Montgomery and Gibbs. So we'll learn a lot more about that run defense next week. But staying on Pittsburgh, I just think the defense was really good. I felt the offense did what it needed to do. And of course, like John and I are tossing around story ideas, and it was just freaking lightning round at the end between me and John, just like, what do we write about? And Rico Dowdle, like, I mean, if this is going to be what Rico is able to do, it still might be a committee approach to some extent, but you're going to have your leader of the committee, your bell cow. That doesn't mean he's going to be out there every time, but just all of that stuff combined, I think it was a very complete performance. There were mistakes, but they moved the ball at will, and I think that was really impressive to me.
It's really wild on just how that would be the third from last play when he fumbled, third from last offensive play for the Cowboys. How I go into that going, I'm probably going to be writing about Dak not, doing enough for them to win, and this loss is on him. Or you can go pro Rico Dowdle. Like they score right at the end there. He gets the game-winning touchdown. It's like, well, Rico Dowdle's the story, that they finally got a spark in the running game. Rico fumbles. Dak recovers the fumble. Like you're literally in split second, okay, storyline switching now. Like, and then let's see what Dak does off this. The one interception I will say, the deep ball to Tolbert, I hated because of it as a throw, as a play on its own. I can understand the arguments. The problem I had, time of game, pace of game, way the Steelers are playing. No need to give them that. You don't need to give them anything. The previous two series that the Cowboys defense was on the field was 3 and out, 4 and out. It's 13-10 at that time. You're fine. I don't know if they were feeling the same thing on the field that I was in the press box, but I was like, this Steelers team is not as good as I thought it was. You just go out and play solid football, you will win this game. Don't turn it over. Don't give them a chance. And that's the reason I didn't like that one, the deep one that Tolbert.
Didn't that kind of go into your thing, John, about, like, hey, when you sign these deals, there's more that comes with it. Like we talked about this with CeeDee Lamb, right? And to me, it's like game manager. Like Dak should be handling everything when it comes to the clock at the end of games. And then, on the bigger scale, that interception, you're exactly right at that part in the game. While we're here, let's just talk about that last sequence. Like that was awesome for a game that like wasn't wonderful to watch. Like although it was it was competitive and fun and all that, but like that everything happened in the second half. That sequence is insane. How nervous were you saw it on first down of Dak pulling a Jeff Heath play?
Yeah. So real quick, on that last sequence, I'm kind of disappointed in us as a media group, and only because on Monday, and not completely our fault, because a lot of media members weren't able to make it back for the day after, and also like the Cowboys were really rushed. They were trying to get coaches into meetings and stuff. Yeah. But I really wanted to ask McCarthy a real explanation on using a timeout there and why you're not just running the clock down at the end, because I don't really get that. The two McCarthy plays that stood out to me were him calling a timeout there, and you're throwing the ball on 3rd and 1 that results in the intentional grounding in the first quarter. You're kind of telling on yourself at that point with your run offense that did pick up steam later in the game. But I don't know. But to come back to your point, KT, of the last sequence, number one, I was floored that they used a timeout. I don't know why. But when Dak had that play, I mean, I didn't. it was pretty clear to me that, like, in live action that he didn't fumble it out of the end zone. I wasn't too nervous about that. The play that obviously was completely nerve-wracking was the fumble, but let's go to 3rd and goal real quick, because that play, just for people to understand like how much is going on in the duration of a play, Dak was trying to get the ball to Jalen Brooks running a post route to the back of the end zone. Brooks didn't give Dak what he was looking for at that play. So now Dak switches to Jalen Tolbert, and John can attest to this better than almost anyone. That's a play they've hit in training camp a million times. Like, back of the end zone, Jalen Tolbert. Go look at John's Twitter feed. There's videos of that a bunch of times. What happens is Dak is then looking at this hole and he's thinking about running, but then that hole closes real quick, and then Tolbert is coming across. If you look at Dak's feed, and I've looked at the all 22 and everything, it's a mess. I mean, it's terrible. His footwork there, and that's why he misses Tolbert, which he, as Tyler Smith so generously put it, sprained his nuts.
It's amazing.
And then that happens, and then obviously I wrote about the last play and how it all came about. If Jalen Tolbert, if the Cowboys just call that timeout, they're not running that play because Tolbert's not in the game. Pittsburgh wanted to get a look at what the Cowboys were doing. That allowed Tolbert to come back in. Safety goes to CeeDee Lamb, Tolbert with the touchdown. So I thought it was incredible, but I think that 3rd and goal play was the one that really got me in terms of just how much was going on. We talked to a few people after the game, and it was really wild.
Yeah, I'd say one of the things I've thought about since it happened, I didn't think about this in the moment, but after the game and the last couple of days, I wonder if Tolbert makes that catch last year or the year before. I just think that you see a much more confident player. It took me back to training camp a little bit, where Dak said how much time him and Tolbert spent together, how Tolbert was probably the receiver he spent the most time with, and generally in the previous years when that's been the case, that receiver usually plays well. He talked about Cedric Wilson's last year with the Cowboys. Obviously, that was a breakout year for him, got him a little bit of cash in free agency. And then also just because the way he had to make a hands catch, because he also had to hang on to it, because he had to fight it off to the ground. It wasn't like it was just gonna be this easiest catch and whatever. Like, they were fighting for the ball, and it really was one that I think if he just tries to just take to the body, I think it might have gotten stripped. But the way he fights for it with his hands and just is strong with it and brings it to the ground away from his body, he left no gray area for the refs to be like, well, did it touch the ground? We need to review it. You don't want that to happen. You don't want to leave it in their hands, because you just never know, even on a review, what they're going to say. So I just thought that whole sequence, I mean, again, because that's not 3rd down, that's 4th down, that's the game. Everybody knows that the pressure is at its highest level. And so I think that's what kind of that stood out to me. And then when I was watching it, what kind of stood out to me is the idea of how Dak had to kind of move a little bit, because that play takes a little bit to develop, because you need CD to clear so that he can take that safety with him. And then you also need enough time for Tolbert to be able to create some separation there and kind of get, through the trash and give him a spot to throw to. And it worked out perfect, especially considering everything was lined up for you to go, oh yeah, no, I see how this is going already. You fumble, you're on the 1, it takes you back to the 4. You're already looking at it just like, man, they're blowing this opportunity. And then it goes to 4th down. You're just like, man, we're just going to be talking about how they blew it on that goal line. They should have run it 3 times and been out of here. But they found a way at the end. And I will say, I think that's one of Dak's most clutch throws that he's made as a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah, and Dak going full anti-Cam Newton was just huge on that, because, I mean, falling on that ball, because I think, obviously without that, nothing happens. It's interesting, though, real quick as well on that, KT, just I wonder if, like, moving back, we can say this in hindsight because Dak threw a touchdown, Tolbert caught it, everything. I wonder if moving back to the 4 was kind of a good thing for them in that situation, because, from the 1, you're kind of thinking about, are you going to sell out and run, and what are you going to do? That crossing route's going to be a little further back in the end zone. You have 3-4 more yards to work with, and Tolbert ran the right depth on the route and everything. I know it's like hindsight, and you probably want to be at the 1, but still, I think it kind of worked out for them that they were at the 4.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because Tolbert, talking about his development, like, that's a scary thing to do when, like, he saw the trash as you called it, John, and to avoid it. But you're also going like he quickly, as he shot inside the goal line, he quickly got back to proper depth on 4th and goal, where you have to be at the goal line. And I don't know if that happens in year 1 or year 2, because that route was not in the end zone. He had to avoid it, and that helps nobody if he doesn't quickly get back to the proper depth. So CD had was it 1 catch in the second half?
Yeah.
What's going on? Is that a case of defenses taking him away because they know that's the guy we got to stop? Or is there more going on there, do you think? I mean, the Cowboys have made an effort the last 2 games to go give CD the ball first quarter, but I just wonder if there's more going on, or if that's just like it's as easy as, well, if you had another threat, a Devontae Adams or whatever out there, then, he would be fine for a whole game. I wonder if the Steelers, when you watch the defenders go with him on that play, but I'm talking about the second half in general, it's like they made an adjustment.
I think, Dak will tell you that that's what it is, that when they shade coverage to CD, he's not going to force it in there. He's going to go to, if he's got other open receivers, he trusts his guys, and he's shown that. I mean, his actions speak louder than his words. He has shown that he trusts guys to a level, and this isn't just this year or last year, this is his whole career. He trusts guys sometimes almost to a fault, where I think some other quarterbacks might just be like, well, I'm just forcing it into CD. And Dak can certainly make those throws to force it in. I mean, he's shown it throughout his career, especially his last 2 or 3 years. I mean, he'll fit it into a tight window, but more than that, I mean, you just look at that last drive. I mean, he went to Hunter Lipke, I mean, he goes to Ferguson. He had CD on one of the plays in that drive, and then he goes twice to Tolbert. So he's fine with, kind of going to whoever is the best matchup. And I think in that moment, especially on that last play, I know a lot of people would be like, man, $60 million quarterback, $34 million wide receiver, no matter what, that's the connection right there. But he allowed that safety to be pulled away because of CD.
Yeah.
And I think that CD he's not on Dez's level with the body language, but he can sometimes have some bad body language. So that allows people to feed into it more, as opposed to if I guess he was, and it's going to be tough for me. I don't want to swing and miss on this, but I would say maybe Marvin Harrison. I'm trying to think of a receiver that put up
Larry
big numbers.
Fitzgerald.
But never put out, like, you never could read body language like that. Marvin Harrison and Larry Fitzgerald, those are 2 good ones for sure. But he's just not like that. And so people are going to feed into that. But I think it'll happen. I mean, heck, I know we're not going to talk about it right here, but this game against Detroit, I mean, how big he played against them last year, that could maybe be that game. But I find it hard to believe with the injuries that they have and what they have to overcome, that they're going to be able to keep winning games without that connection having to have a big game. And I think it eventually will happen, but you just think about it from the opposing team standpoint. If you're going to face the Dallas Cowboys, you'd be stupid not to go, hey, let somebody else beat us. We're taking CD away. I mean,
yep.
I feel like it's so I was on I got a late flight back. And so I was flying back during the Monday night game. It's kind of interesting because I went to go back on the plane to use the restroom. And the biggest reason why I wanted to go back is because I wanted to walk back through the aisles and see how many people had on the regular Monday night and how many had on the Manning cast. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I think I was the only one watching the Manning cast. Maybe people are beaten down with it. Maybe they're sick of that. Maybe they're tired of Belichick, whatever. I love that. So anyway, the reason I'm saying this is because Belichick, man, when you listen to that Manning cast, I mean, he coaches the way I believe. And maybe it's an outdated way, but I am, whether you're talking about basketball or football, I've always been like this. You do whatever you have to take the other team's best player away. And if their other guys beat you, that sucks, but you tip your cap, because you know what? More often than not, those other guys aren't going to beat you. You can't let that main guy. And so I totally get it on offense when you're playing the Cowboys. You got to do everything to take away CeeDee Lamb. And then obviously if you're an offense going against the Cowboys, you do everything you can not to let Micah Parsons ruin the game. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to go off, or one of the DBs. Hey, you tip your cap, but you do not let 11 beat you. And then on defense, you do not let 88 beat you. And so I think Dak's being smart by not forcing it in certain situations. Now, if he was turning the ball over, trying to get it to some of these other guys, and these other guys are making drops or tipping the ball in the air, that might be a little bit different, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt right now.
Yeah, and I mean, running through the all 22, like I don't think there were too many huge missed opportunities that popped off to me, actually, like even in the second half, even in the first half. Like, I think there's always some plays where CD breaks open and you're like, okay, you could have gone there, but it wasn't anything egregious and nothing close to, like, for example, that San Francisco game last year. So I think it's more of an indictment, I think, on the weapons that the Cowboys have, that they're able to do that to CD. But in terms of if it's something that's concerning, I mean, this is the same quarterback, the same offensive system, the same head coach, the same offensive coordinator as last year when CD had a career year. So
yeah,
it is, I think, more of a product of just what's happening from the defensive side.
But I also
same time of year.
I said this during the summer, and I'll say it again, even though the contract got done. Man, you want to talk about storylines? Imagine if that contract doesn't get done. He's playing under the last year of the deal, CD. Can you just imagine him not getting the ball? How pissed off he'd be without a new deal, knowing that this is a year where he has to show out because he could potentially be hitting free agency. So that was another reason why it made total sense that this is your guy, get that deal done, because there are going to be games like this where teams do a great job of taking him away, and you don't need him frustrated and doing, like I'm sure a lot of people have seen some of these clips of George Pickens' routes in that game, man. It's not a good look. That to me might be the worst thing. That's bigger than drops to me. When the effort isn't there, that's bad, because that's a trickle down to the rest of the team.
So are we settling on jump balls for I got you? Jump balls? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah.
On the lip reading clip?
I feel very
That's what it looked like to me. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
I
didn't get the sense that any of that exchange was anything really negative. I've seen CD fired up. I've seen Des Bryant extremely fired up. Des Bryant is on the Mount Rushmore of flipping out on the sidelines at his quarterback or to other teammates and things like that, or really just himself being frustrated. But CD was not anywhere close to that in that game. That to me felt like some manufactured TV. If we slow this
they
down,
know to watch for it.
It looks really good. It's a bad game. It's not interesting. There's already been a rain delay. These two guys have, there's been some moments on the sideline in the past. If there's anything close, we'll run it.
It's on the radar now. Like, they know to watch for that.
So also, I think if Collinsworth and Tirico don't make the comments that they did, of like, oh, I'm not going to say anything, or I'll let you handle it. And then Collinsworth doesn't say anything. Like, that's what was going on. It was like, wow, Collinsworth didn't say anything. And Tirico, it wasn't even just the slow-mo. It was just like what they were saying as well. It fed into that narrative.
And
I
Collinsworth
think that hurt.
might not even known either. And that might have just been his way of saying, like, kind of, I don't know. I can't tell right now. But the way he said it made it seem like, the way he said it was kind of like I know what he said, and you know what he said, and it's not good. That's the way that it was.
yeah, right.
Best part of the broadcast, though, by far, is when Justin Fields gets sent to the sideline, and they talk about having to send it up into the booth to the NFL's specialist for the concussions, and they showed the Cowboys Spanish broadcast team.
Wonderful. My good friend Ivan Zuniga, Victor Viaba, I love it. I was texting Ivan immediately. I was like, dude, you're a star and you've started NFL conspiracy theories. It's so good.
Because he had the Cowboy shirt on?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's so funny. So I say to Ivan, I've been calling him Ivan since I've known him in 2013. And then all of a sudden, people around me started calling him Ivan. And I don't like that. He's always Ivan to me, okay? But I just love that. The NFL's hanging out with the Cowboys. It's Blandino on the bus again. It's like, what are we doing? It's just this Ivan. I talked to him yesterday. Okay, so let's talk about running game, and then we'll get to the defense a little bit. For me, I was sitting there kind of going, okay, man, Rico Dowdle, this got to be a 100-yard game. And you kind of pull up the numbers at the end of it and go, oh, that was pretty pedestrian. It just seemed like a 150-yard rushing game because we've been seeing nothing. So it felt like it was a great effort. 87 yards on 20 carries, Hall of Fame effort, just because we're conditioned to see, not that.
Yeah, I think for me, it was about the moments that he made the plays that kind of, also fed into that. I thought he made big plays in big moments, and on key downs, when they needed it. I think that all kind of, and then the other thing, at least in my brain, that I was really impressed with Rico having that effort was the fact that I know Zach Martin only went out for 4 plays, but you lost your starting left tackle. You have a new configuration. Honestly, that's one of the big things that Schottenheimer and McCarthy both talked about on Monday was just about, like Rico running more patient and letting the blocks set up and all that stuff. Like this whole running game struggling for the first 4 weeks was not just on the running backs. I know that's the easy target because what Derrick Henry's doing, what Saquon's doing, and what Zeke is not doing. But the offensive line is heavily culpable in this too, and I thought they were a lot better. I mean, that plays a huge role. So I think Rico, he doesn't need to be a superstar. This is going to be, as John mentioned, this offense runs through 88. And if you have to pass to set up the run, that's fine. And if you need just big runs and big moments, that's fine. You don't need to become a running offense, but you just can't be nothing, which is basically what they were for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, and that's one thing too we've talked about for years too, like when an offensive lineman gets hurt and how things could kind of crater on this offensive line. Are we to believe that Tyler Guyton could have came out and started the second half? Like he was healthy enough to go?
It seems a little bit conspiracy theory, but
okay.
I guess it could. I mean, it could be possible. I mean,
but they're not going to go. I mean, they're going back to normal this week. Guyton, the left tackle,
that's the plan.
And Tyler Smith, the left guard.
As long as Guyton can go, that is the plan. Yeah, for sure. But it was interesting to see how quickly that they went. When as soon as he went down, it was, oh well, no, we're going Bass at left guard and kicking Tyler Smith out, and so. I'm not saying guard isn't valuable. It's obviously valuable to have a great, outstanding guard. But there is a part of me that, I don't know, like a year or two from now, like maybe Tyler Smith is your left tackle. You know what I'm saying? Like as much as you might want to push that off, the part that you really run into where on those conspiracy theories and speculation into the future is that like Terrence Steele is signed for several more years. So it's not like you're like, oh, we'll just let Terrence Steele go. And then we'll put Tyler Guyton back at right tackle, which is what he played at Oklahoma. I don't know why they're not just going to sit there. As much as we've seen them roll out Taco and Mozzie over and over, they're not going to sit there and put a first round pick on the bench. So whatever you're trying to figure out, it's going to involve Tyler Guyton being on the field. And so with the current group, I think it makes the most sense to keep him at left tackle. But obviously, if he's getting destroyed, it's such an important position, then maybe you're forced to put him out there. I just don't see how he would fit anywhere else other than right tackle if you don't want him to be your left tackle. He's not going to be your center. He's not going to be a guard. So what are you doing with him? And you used a first-round pick on him. So
and
I don't
right
get the
guard
sense.
is the only position coming up.
What's that?
As a right guard is the only position that you really have opening up. And there's really no other position, to your point, with Terrence Steele and stuff.
And even with that one, I mean, right guard could end up being BB, and then you go, and if you want to find a center, whatever you find is easier. But I don't know. Like BB will be in the starting lineup whether it's right guard or center. But I think that he could obviously play both if Zach Martin is done at the end of the season. But I just don't see a spot for Guyton outside of one of the tackle spots. And if they're not going to move him over to right, then he's going to be your left tackle, and they're just going to take the good with the bad. But he does seem like he has the right mentality. I don't think there's any question he's got the right type of body. I mean, he's a huge dude, long arms, I mean, he looks like what you want out of a left tackle. It just, there's probably going to be some growing pains, there for a little bit. But yeah, as long as he's healthy, I imagine he'll be back out there.
Before we go to the defense, can I just bring up my Cowboys comedic lowlight of the game? Rico Dowdle gets tired, right? He checks out, and it's kind of late in the game. This is the fourth quarter, and then Zeke runs on the field, but it's kind of clear the Cowboys are kind of trying to hurry and play a little fast, and then Zeke runs like a Texas route, and then in front of CeeDee Lamb, and Zeke ducks under the ball that was thrown. But I was like, okay, like even seeing Rico check out, and I was like, oh no, okay, and then Zeke comes on. I could kind of tell, like, this is going to be a discombobulated play, and it ended up being very discombobulated. I just wanted to, I don't know.
No, it was. It's kind of been strange.
Funny for a minute.
How long Dak and Zeke have played together, and it does not seem like they've been on the same page when it comes to the passing game. Yeah, I mean, speaking of Zeke, I mean, I've heard a lot of people say this, and I do think that there is a lot of truth to this, or a lot of good reasoning behind it, and that's that he probably should have been the one getting the ball on the 1 yard line. And this is just my beliefs. I haven't been told this by anybody. This is just my observation as just, we're going to pretend I'm just Joe sports fan right here and that I don't cover the team. But Mike McCarthy seems like a guy that coaches more by feel than analytics. And the feel of that game is, this is Rico's game. We're going to let him finish this thing off. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if you're watching playoff baseball right now, the way baseball's changed, where it's like, no, we don't care that it used to be we're giving Randy Johnson all 9 innings, or we're giving John Lester all 9 innings, or Mike Mussina because he's hot right now. No, the analytics say that at the end of the 7th, our 8th inning guy is this guy and our closer is this guy, and that gives us the best chance to win. So thank you. Shake hands with the manager. Your day's done. You know, like I think Mike coaches more to feel, and that's why I think Rico was out there, is because it was like, hey, he deserves the right to finish this game out because he's been one of the, he's played well.
No, I would agree with that. Let's go to defense real quick. Marshawn Nealand, obviously out for 4 to 6 weeks. My goodness, good effort from Wheat, but how are we going to get through? Luckily the bye week's coming at a good time, but how are we going to get through the next 3 or 4 weeks?
I went to an event that Jerry was at today. We're recording this on Tuesday. I asked him about Nealand. He says he thinks it'll be a month, but that's typical Jerry. He'll go on the low end of whatever. If it's 6 to 8, it's 6. If it's could be the whole season. He's like, well, no, we'll have him back for the playoffs when the games really matter. So that's par for the course. But yeah, it's very clear they're not going to go and make some big move for somebody. He wants the young guys to get their opportunity. Not that Carl Lawson is young, but Wheat, Chauncey Golston, who am I forgetting here? Lawson, Chauncey Golston. Oh, and then what's his name that they just brought up? KJ Henry. KJ Henry. I almost called him KJ Adams. KJ Henry. That'll probably be their 4. Because you need 4 in a game. So I think that'll be their 4 for this game. I think they're pretty confident they'll have Micah after. It just doesn't seem realistic for Micah to be back for this game.
Boy, it feels like the San Francisco game's turning into the Super Bowl. That's going to be a big game because, we'll do our Lions preview tomorrow and we'll discuss all that. But
it could be a good thing. I'm not trying to be Jerry here and be salesman, but it could be a good thing that once you get Micah back, maybe you got some development from a Chauncey, I think Lawson is what he is, who's solid. But I don't know if I think his best ball has been played, but I still think he's really good. But maybe the Tyrus Wheat or somebody gets, uses this as that's a pretty good number 4 rusher we got now, or number 3 rusher we got now until Nealand gets back.
Or a Warrior too, to hold it down.
Yeah.
And, I know the Steelers obviously not a ton of weapons, but just impressive for no one to get toasted, right? We're good.
Because we saw that with Andrew Booth. I mean,
absolutely
Andrew Booth got toasted. I know Neighbors is a really good player, but Booth got toasted. Warrior came in the second half, and Booth didn't have a single defensive snap yesterday.
Hey, isn't it kind of wild though? Like when you watch that game again, and I know that no one's really here to care about the the Pittsburgh side of it, but I'm sorry, but when you're watching that game and Fields is not really seeing things, it doesn't look like it. But you're like, but what do I know? I'm not an NFL quarterback. I'm just watching this from a press box. All right, football gods, help me out here. Fine. Kyle Allen, get in there. 1 pass, 19 yards. Okay, now back off. I thought so. Just checking. Okay, everybody keep playing. Go on.
Also, John, we owe money to some of our Discord listeners.
Okay.
One of our Discord listeners, which is the first one. LKC Light.
I'll send it to you. You send it over to him.
That works. At KT Fun Tweets on Venmo. Just send it over.
Anybody out here listening want to send KT money? There it is.
Yeah, please do. We'll put it towards the pot. Of the 37. Now we had a bit of a controversy because one guy did edit his answer.
Okay.
And I don't have any way of seeing when he edited. He could have edited his answer after the game.
Oh, we don't approve of that. That's frowned upon in this business.
He claims I didn't change my score. So maybe we'll give the Don his money too. So Don will get 37, LKS will get 37.
Okay.
And offer stands for next week too, I guess. At least from me.
Yeah,
Cowboys
absolutely.
Lions.
Let's keep it going.
We'll come back with a Lions preview episode tomorrow. We have about 5 minutes. Is there anything from the NFL weekend? Robert Saleh just got fired by the Jets today. Aaron Rodgers gets another. Is there anything from the NFL weekend that you guys would like to comment on?
I would just say Jaden Daniels and the Commanders look really freaking good, and I'm starting to like buy into the hype, at least just for this season. We've talked about with quarterbacks, you want to see it 2-3 years going, but talking about this season and them actually being like I believe more in the Commanders than I do the Vikings, to be honest with you. In terms of what is being talked about with them, Vikings are atop of the conference. And with the Commanders, the talk is about being atop of the division. I'm more a believer of the Commanders being the best team in the NFC East than the Vikings being the best team in the NFC. So, I would just say Commanders are impressive.
I would agree with that. They're giving me 2016 Cowboys vibes. They're giving me, make sure I got the year right, and they're giving me 2012 Washington, Robert Griffin vibes, where to me, they're definitely the favorite to win the division. Just you factor in just the way Jane Daniels is playing. It's unexpected. The fact that I just really believe this NFC East streak is going to continue, where it's not the same team winning it back-to-back years. But I do think that the Cowboys still have a really good chance. If they keep playing the way they have on the road, I think they have a really good chance of being that 8 or 9 win wild card team. And I kind of do think that would be a good thing for this team to kind of, you wouldn't have those expectations going in, it would kind of be like, hey, maybe they get hot at the right time. And maybe that's the way that they make a deep run. But yeah, I think this Washington thing, I agree with Saad. I do think that they're for real. And there's just something going on there where it's an organization that's been down for so long that when you get this spark like this, you can just tell everybody seems to be bought in. And I think Dan Quinn is a really good coach for that type of thing. He's just a guy that you want to play for, a good motivator and stuff. So I think they keep riding this thing. And I do think it's kind of crazy because I'm just so used to, for almost all but maybe 1 or 2 years of me covering the Cowboys, Washington has been kind of an afterthought. And no, they look absolutely for real. What about you? Anything stand out to you?
Well, I would say Baltimore and Washington this week will be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it'll be good to see Washington get a test like that. To me, I think it's wild that the 49ers are 2-3.
Yeah.
And we talk about they're crushed by injuries, and they have been, but it's largely McCaffrey. Their wide receivers are all back. Kittle's still playing. They're all back. And I just think it's interesting, and they've kind of been in control of all of those games. I also do agree with Saad that I think the Vikings have been a little hyped. Now, they did destroy Green Bay a little bit, but Green Bay played really good defense at second half, and Sam Darnold was getting hit, and he looked like a guy who's going to have problems once pressure gets him. I still think Detroit's the class of the NFC right now. I'm fascinated with the Jets, though. The idea that Saleh was considering firing Hackett, who was the OC when Rodgers was there, even though LaFleur was calling all the plays, and then Hackett gets the job in Denver, and defensive players are mad and had lost respect for Saleh because Saleh was doing nothing about the offense, and it's all because Aaron is right there. And then in Cleveland, Deshaun Watson refusing to go on 4th and goal when the coach says go for it, just walks off the field. The AFC's nuts, but man, I've decided that Aaron Rodgers is the Kanye West of football.
Oh, if the NFL was scripted or it was a movie or something, Aaron Rodgers has to get to the Cowboys. There's just the dynamic of him, Micah, Jerry. that would be the ultimate. Yeah,
amazing.
It's not winning anything, but I'm talking in terms of entertainment and just how wild it would be, the way that they, everything would be going in terms of podcasts and them doing their own interviews and stuff like that. Just their personalities.
Micah's podcast would be so great.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Rodgers fascinates me.
Me too.
It's hard for me to believe that he didn't have something to do with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No. Okay. Well, let's do this again tomorrow night. So, do you get a closing thought in real quick?
Nope. 40 seconds. I think we got it in.
Okay, we'll do a preview podcast tomorrow night, and we get ready for the Lions and all that stuff, things like that. So everyone enjoy your night. Thank you all for hanging out. We'll have another episode for you on the One Star Cowboys podcast. For Saad Youssef, for Jon Machota, I'm Kevin. We'll see you next time.
Sprained his nuts.
Hey, it's Austin James. Yes, I'm living with diabetes, but it doesn't have to define me. Thanks to the Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor, I get real-time glucose readings throughout the day. The Freestyle Libre 3 Plus sensor is small and easy to wear, giving me the freedom to focus on my life as a parent and a musician. Now this is progress. You can get a free sensor at freestylelibre.us.
Offer available for people who qualify. Visit myfreestyle.us to see all terms and conditions. Certain exclusions apply. Data on file, Abbott Diabetes Care. Per prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.